Welcome to my online salon called Emporium Unplugged. This would be the launch of this whole new way of doing business. I've been a salon owner for 30 years here in St. Louis, Missouri, doing business as the Hair Emporium. And of course, over the years, there's been a lot of great stories. The most important story that I feel for you tonight is coming to an understanding of what a holistic stylist is and why I've chosen to be one in my professional life. Now, hairdressing is among the top 5 most toxic service industries. So the first thing a holistic stylist doesn't do is use toxic chemicals. The other thing, to me, that a holistic stylist doesn't do is waste time on bullshit. So we're talking about, in beauty school, was don't talk about sex, politics, or religion. And of course, it's important, since we have such close relationships with our clients, to speak about important things while we're with them, and they can be fun too. So, why do I use the products I use? You're gonna find out tonight. But what I'm really known for is non-toxic hair color, and I've been nationally board certified since 1998. So, with that, let's get into the story of how your buddy Suze came to even be a hairdresser. And of course, all these stories are funny, but there's some serious things, so I'll try to bridge that as we continue so you understand that I don't find it amusing to say, for example, that hairdressers are considered to be ding-dongs or are menial labor because we use our hands. We are artists and we are healers, and we've played very important roles down through history. I guess it's all on how you look at it, isn't it? But we're gonna go back to high school with me. And I went to a college prep school on the wrong side of town, and all my friends were going to college, and so the last day of high school, my guidance counselor called me into his office, and he said, you know, are you still going to go to secretarial college? And of course, in that day, if you weren't college bound, you would have a trade, and most of it was secretarial. And I said, well, I guess so. And he says, well, I have a scholarship that nobody wants to go to beauty school, and I thought maybe you'd like to go. Now, as much as I love my industry, I had a hard time relating to hairdressers as a child, and I will share with you that story. But when he said it, I really couldn't imagine myself being a hairdresser because of this story. And he said, well, you know, I think you'd be really good at it. He says, you like to talk a lot, you don't like to follow rules, and you're very artistic. And I thought, well, yeah, right. So I went ahead, took the scholarship, and here's now the first thing, guys. So, you know, just because you don't plan for something in your life doesn't mean that it's not a wonderful, blessed experience. And I really had never planned or played beauty shop. I never thought it was a fun thing to go to the salon and get my hair cut. And I surely never had a hairdresser that took an interest in me. You know, it seemed like back in the 70s, going to a hair salon was kind of like going to Hollywood. And I know in our industry that surely there are a lot of salons that do provide that experience, and there's people that love it. Now, depending on where you live and what your story is, that isn't necessarily available. So, to a girl like me, in a non-desirable area, even if I'm a big whoop-de-doo and have all these awards and honors, who really wants to come to a place that is considered undesirable? And where I've lived, that's always been the situation. So, go to beauty school and absolutely dig my beauty school teacher. Now, who would have expected that she would be so wonderful? And early on in beauty school, I had confessed to her that I just don't really think I would enjoy this business if I were doing shampoo sets all day long. And so we made a trade. I had to know how to tease that hair out and do the state board set. I wouldn't have to do the blue hairs all day if I would do all the hair color and all the kids' haircuts. So that early on is how I found one of my niches in my business. And so a niche is anything that you develop to an extraordinary level that you become an expert on it, or however you want to word it. When beauty school came to an end, now, my beauty school teacher was so cool, right? She was involved in the show circuit back in the day and knew all the right people. And one of the big head salon owners, who was the right person where I live, he also ran our beauty school. So Sheila would present, you know, the best student to this great man. And when it came my turn, and she took me to meet him, you know, I mean, I might have not been the proper look for him, but he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Susie Glasscock." And he made a face and he said, "Oh my God, you know, if you ever wanted to work here, you would have to change your name." Now, he was dead serious. So, of course, at a very young age, and I was 19 at that point, here I was already not the right fit. And it had nothing to do with talent, because of course I had all the talent. It had to do with how I looked or what my last name was. And isn't it funny, in this world, we've become so materialistic, and you know, some people it's just really all about the hype. You won't like this show if that's what you're looking for. We're going deeper than the little overlying things that you would normally come to. And real quick about this salon owner guy, he wasn't the only one. There was also another person that said, "You know what, you've got the talent but you don't have the look." And isn't that funny, because hairdressers, of course, we're allowed to look however we want. We have that creative freedom, no doubt. What does a hairdresser look like? Why do you go to a hairdresser? Is it more of a relationship maybe where you know, whatever you say? Now, some people do think the customer is always right, but don't we really want a relationship where we're exchanging ideas? And of course, these are good for your mind, body, spirit, and give you a real natural beauty. I mean, this isn't just a field of illusion. We should be a little more centered in our wellness regime. Anyhow, back to the story. By the time I was 21, I opened my salon. So that's the Hair Emporium. And throughout the years, yeah, I mean, what great stories. And the places that were achieved and all the girls that I was privileged to work with, the booth runners. Wow. I mean, at one time we were just slamming and it was 15, 16 girls. During those days, surely I spoke even out of the norm back then, and it was all age relevant. But the older I became, the more free I became as a hairdresser. So, going back to that first experience, being told no, that I wasn't going to have a job, maybe that motivated me enough to become Missouri's first nationally accredited Board Certified Haircolorist. Maybe these things, when we talk about what stresses us in the salon, go back to these little tiny things, and that's why I do Life Chart. Now, let's see. Well, I wasn't cool enough, right? Now I have to really disclose this, guys. Can you imagine, really? I was a child and was burnt, 2nd and 3rd degree burns on this side of my hairline. How could I get a good haircut, say if I went into the salon and maybe someone really didn't look at a hairline or a colic or the way a growth pattern occurred? Do you know how many bad haircuts that a person that doesn't have hair on this side of their hair can get? I'm going to sit up and show this to you. I don't usually put this right out there, but you can see that the hairline is gone there. Here's my good side of my hairline so you can see the difference. So, maybe the reason why I actually have great client consultations is because I know the smallest detail can ruin that experience for the client, right? Now we're looking at a little psychology, how a hairdresser comes to work the way they choose to work. Now, isn't it funny that we all would say that, yeah, it's great to be free and to create and to have our businesses. And surely that's why I did open my salon. The needs were simple. As a 20-year-old person, 21, I wanted to listen to the kind of music I wanted to. I wanted to talk about what I wanted to talk about. And let's face it, I wanted to smoke if I wanted to smoke. Doesn't that sound rebellious now? Well, as the salon went on, I did some things that people were just amazed that I was able to do. Say, for example, the board certification. So even though I was nationally accredited, people would say, well, wow, why would she be in that neighborhood if she was so skilled? Or things like that. When I would go out and do platform education, even St. Louis is not the place to be when it comes to a high end of this industry. So, I'm just this little Midwest girl telling her stories, I guess. Now, you meet me as Suze after 30 years of this. Wow, guys. This is a whole new thing for me, being online. I had absolutely no experience with the computer. We're 15 months in now. This was supposed to be a live stream event tonight. I didn't really get connected right, I guess. But just like what I'm doing now, speaking directly to you, that's just like doing it live. There's no breaks or cutting the action. I don't edit these things. And whatever I wind up saying is what you guys hear. So it's a whole different way to me of speaking about important things. When I came to Ferguson in 2010, excuse me, I came as a holistic stylist. And so this concept had never been heard of before. And the salon was absolutely beautiful down here. For example, just to give you an idea, it's a beautiful, historic, older part of North St. Louis. And to be in a historic building, and for everything I'm involved in to be the love of cosmetology. I mean, these are things that you normally never see in a hair salon. So I'm just going to show you my last location. There's been 5 locations of the Hair Emporium over 30 years. So this was the ceiling, and as you can see, there's a bunch of hair pictures. There we go, hanging from the ceiling, part of the Cosmetology Museum. Library. You're saying, what kind of hair shop has a library? Whatever kind of hair shop I create, right? So it's easy to create an online experience too. We will have education for the professional as well as the non-professional. Done a lot of wellness seminars, and those are the kind of things that we'll be sharing. This was the very first thing I ever bought for my hair salon as a young woman. These are some hand-carved rhino horns. And you can see, some people say I'm bohemian, some people say I'm eclectic, some people say I'm a hippie. And you know, every hairdresser gets to have their little thing that makes them them, right? These are some antiques. And of course, I come to you from Ferguson, and I'm sure you've heard of Ferguson over the years in the media. Now, unfortunately, when I came to the town, the head hairdresser of the town, of course, didn't want me here, so immediately there was the hairdresser clash and the catty behavior and things that you may know from your salon experience. Everybody sees a different thing. But when the riots happened here in town, I lost my walls. So I went from being blacklisted to being evicted out of a spot. And these things were all hard. Now, over the years, of course, there were always the people who came against me and said the rotten things they said, but this didn't seem to be such a problem when it happened this time. And I was given such a huge advantage of possibility. So even though you can completely love your career, if you're going to do it your whole life, I promise you, you will address different aspects of it too. And so now, our concept has gone way beyond what I ever dreamt what a hair salon could be. Some of my little awards and honors, and of course one of my favorite signs, hippies use back door, right? Now, the funny thing, when I came to the town and they were saying there's no way we're going to let you in, and I said, but hey, don't you understand? I have the decor of a cosmetology museum, and it was suggested that I pay an extra $450 if I wanted to be a museum. Why are hairdressers ostracized? Come on. Let's have a little more fun with this. I mean, look at the incredible history that some people drove for an hour to see. That's why I bring it now online, and we will have our online cosmetology museum. I think people are interested in history, my own self, and if you're not, that's okay too. It's just some really great photography, right? A little more of the antiques. And what do you do with all your stuff when you lose your walls? And somebody says, well, you know, you can't actually, like, continue to be a hairdresser without these walls that you lost in a fire and an eviction and all sorts of things. It's just crazy. I don't want to go too far down that road. I want to stay more current and up to date. But if you don't know these stories, how would you know how I became who I am today and why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? Now, back in the day, I don't know if any of you know this, people were actually strapped up to perm machines, and you can see this poor little girl is wired up. And back in the day, believe it or not, people's heads did smoke and catch on fire. I guess that takes us back to, I'm curious how many people that are watching this actually know about why over 75% of the female population colors their hair. And of that 75%, half of them do it at home. Why is this? Well, what I always believed was that the consumer is savvy. And so when I say that, I mean that they realize the same peroxide and ammonia-based color that they could purchase at the grocery store or at the beauty supply is very probably the same ammonia and peroxide that their hairdresser purchases at the beauty supply store. And so, of course, for us professionals, we know that it's about our time, talent, knowledge, and expertise. But what the client sees is maybe hairdressers that don't perform the task. This is the difference between being average and in thoroughly encompassing yourself in whatever service you do. Probably a lot of the reasons why we're here today. This book right here, Cosmetic Jurisprudence, covers 50 years of lawsuits brought against hairdressers. What's interesting is once a hairdresser is licensed and they purchase a chemical, all the liability transfers to that hairdresser. Now, of course, when you're in beauty school, they don't teach you how toxic the chemical composition is, because truly, they didn't know. I'm not here to throw stones. I'm just here to speak about how to get the safest salon experience that you can have. When we're in beauty school, guys, we learn how to mix, measure, and apply. We all know that is true. But recently in our industry, we've all woken up to the real truth behind the chemicals that we've exposed ourselves and our clients to. I'm so glad now there's 3 non-toxic organic lines of hair color that are available in the United States. And as far as myself goes, I've been using an enzymatic developer for the last 30 years. Now people say, what is that? Well, it's an advanced replacement for hydrogen peroxide. It works exactly the same way. It's universal. You can use it with any color line. But peroxide being a heavy chemical and being pennies to make incredible amounts. I mean, it's like a 600% markup. So, as you all know, whether you're a hairdresser or not, the gossip's out, and peroxide is only anywhere from what, $4 to $8 a bottle? It costs them nothing to make. So, 30 years of blacklisting an advanced replacement for hydrogen peroxide because somebody's not going to make a buck. And believe it or not, go try to find a book on enzymes. These two have been in my collection for years. I believe it's this one that has a 9th grade reading level. Tells everything about enzymes. Now, of course, this one is more your advanced, little thicker book. But to be in an industry, and now, I don't think of this as gossip because it's surely true and I can prove it, right? So check this out, all of you people that wear hair color out there in the world. I'm going to put this up close to the camera and you can see there's 2 sets of hair swatches. It's very obvious which one is shinier. And this experiment was shown in the test manual for the ABCH. And what they did is they, through scientific method testing, figured out that the enzyme had less destabilization. You saw those bubbles coming out of the test tube. So we have a less volatile product that lifts the hair faster than the peroxide counterpart. And what was funny is, and to this day, so it's not funny, it just depends on how you look at it, in the test manual it would say draw your own conclusions. Now I tell you this, if you're taking a national certification, most people look for a serious answer. They want proof so they can get the answer right on the test. And when I passed my certification, I thought I'd be the girl to share all the information about the enzymes because I've been the technical advisor since 1992. And of course this didn't sit well. The president of the whole thing, of course, endorses another product line. So it's kind of like, say, I come to town and everybody that is buddies with the other hairdresser doesn't want me here. You know, it's like bullying for lunatics or something. So here in this one, I had sent the question in to the Salon magazine asking about these developers and why they hadn't been heard of. And of course, our big slick hairdresser here makes up a whole story. And he says, enzyme developers are an innovation that haven't been used for a very long time. Peroxide, more commonly used and tested, is more reliable, and we know more about it. When you need to do hair the right way, you can't test all new products on it. You have to use the products that you know will work, not products that maybe will work. Wait a second. We proved the products work better. But of course, this was exactly what you'd expect from mainstream media. See, most people have been hearing me speak about really serious subjects since I've been on line because we have serious days, no matter how trivial our jobs may seem. So now I'm coming into the more fun part of what I do and what I'm comfortable with. Now, let's hit the difference in the products I use, okay? Like I said, the enzyme developers, and you will see so much hair color on this channel. One of the reasons I think I'm passionate about hair color is because I'm a natural redhead. And so, generally speaking, natural redheads do not change the color of their hair. Some think it's because it's a birthright, or because it's beautiful, or whatever they dream up. The truth is, it's very hard to change the appearance of red hair. I mean, you can't ash it out. Back in the day, I wore my hair blonde, an hour and 45 minutes to bleach it up. I mean, we would never leave bleach on a client that long. Ridiculous. But unlike any other girl, I wanted to play beauty shop, and I wanted to wear different hair colors, so I did. My most important thing, though, is the condition and the shine and the structure of the hair. That's really what I'm about with being a holistic stylist. Recently, I used the new color line. So we have 3 non-toxic organic pigment color lines. Remember that, guys. But this new one, and it's called O&M. You can Google this and check it out. Incredible information up online already about it. This is the color that I used to make the color you see now. In older videos, you'll see my natural red hair as a 51-year-old woman. This is great. I mean, as far as even coverage and shine, the entire experience was excellent. You can satisfy a hairdresser, you know that's a BFD, right? Now, I also love the organic color systems, and this is what I've been using since 2003. As much as my clients love me for not having to smell ammonia, I did it for myself too. You know, it's hard on a hairdresser smelling fumes all day, so this was a love offering to myself as well as to all the people I serve. I just wanted to make that statement, right? Okay, we're gonna go beyond hair color and talk about 2 of my favorite things. One would be the Bach flower essence, and recently on my YouTube page, Susan Pratt, the Holistic Stylist, I've released 2 videos on this subject, and I do have a 3rd that I need to upload. Incredible book that goes with that. I got a lot of books, don't I, guys? Would be the Bach Flower Body Maps. So, you ask, why would a hairdresser work with something that is stress relief? Well, it's also a great skin healer. So, I have a license to choose between whether I want to use, say, quasi-drugs to do skin care. Quasi-drug is between a cosmetic and a drug, by the way. Or a skincare product that's full of poisons, or something all natural. And so, of course, that would be the answer. This can be incorporated into your wellness regime so easily. Probably the most popular thing that people know about would be the Rescue Remedy Spray by Bach Essence. It comes in a drop formula as well. They have a sleep aid. It's not like a sleeping pill like that. It's something to help a person relax at the end of the evening. This was the first flower essence ever created, and Dr. Edward Bach was actually the doctor that created the first 7 injectable no-sode vaccines. He, as a young boy, was sickly, so he really missed playing outside in nature. As an adult, he was faced with a life crisis where the diagnosis or the prognosis was death, and they told him to get ready for that. Now, in the meantime, a messenger of God spoke to him and said, "You're not going to die. You're going to go out and pick the flowers to alleviate human suffering." So, off he went out into the fields and did this very thing and collected 38 plants, trees, and actually a water from a stream. It's very, very interesting, and you can find a lot of information. But here again, I use this, say, after waxing to cool down the area. I can also treat skin conditions safely, first doing no harm. This is a huge thing. In our industry, part of the reason we're undesirable is because the products we have used and that we continue to use cause harm to people. This is something we really need to put away. Too historic of a past not to. Real quick, if you want to know a great author on natural skincare products, it's Aubrey Hampton. He would be like, say, the granddaddy of natural products, and believe it or not, to this day, they still hand mix 50-gallon batches and then bottle it and distribute it. These are products you can find at health food stores. Okay. What else we got? I'm going to pull this out. This is a great book. This is by Dr. Daniel Condren, and these people are wonderful. They're with the School of Metaphysics here in Missouri. And this is Permanent Healing. So, for example, we're talking about Bach again. If you have an emotional feeling like you need to create a shield around yourself to protect you from the cruel world, you may see it show up as scales on the skin, or maybe rosacea or some type of a rash type of a covering. This can work on the skin to heal that condition and to work on the soul at the heart level. Now, everybody happy in the salon is a great thing to me. And when I came down here to Ferguson, of course the stylists were terrified to come because this is considered to be a dangerous area. So I'm one girl at this point now for the last 5 years working a program like this. Probably not the most popular thing with my friends and peers. Okay. Magnesium therapy. Oh my goodness. So I've done a YouTube on this already, and I'll tell you this. 80% of the population is magnesium deficient. And I personally know that I was magnesium deficient, and that's why I had high blood pressure. The great thing about magnesium, it also restores natural hair color. Now, this isn't a magic bullet. It never put me out of business with a hair color thing, right? But to give your hair that extra treatment that it needs, especially as we're aging and we have all these environmental factors that harm our hair and skin. What an awesome beauty treatment. Of course, I like to take baths in it too. You can spray it, you can apply a lotion, and believe it or not, this line of magnesium therapy is from a world-renowned doctor, here again, based right in Missouri, and his name is Dr. Shealy. So it's another name for you to Google and check out. But these are things that you will learn about at the Hair Emporium. My clients love both of these modalities. These are different ways of doing things. There's so many more too, but this is just what I put down here this evening. In Dr. Shealy's line, real quick, there is a youth formula supplement, which I do take, and an Eco Green iron, either iron or iron free, whichever one you prefer, essential vitamin as well. One of the things that Dr. Shealy would probably be most known for, besides all of his patents and awards and things that are used in hospitals all over the world, would be these great essential oils, and he does something called the sacred rings with these oils. But that's something we'll need a model for, and we will elaborate on that in the future. I think we covered everything pretty well to know now why I've unplugged my life, and now 3 out of my 9 most viable points have to do directly with my interactions with people locally, which leaves 6 that anyone in the world can benefit from, and I will be your holistic stylist. So, I hope you enjoyed this little intro. Peace, love, and light from the third cosmic ray, and I look forward to seeing y'all soon in the salon. Good night.